What's up guys, and welcome back to Adventure Built. Spring is almost here, and what better time to do a long-term review of the 23-0 Kabari XL. This tent is absolutely awesome. I have spent over 30 nights in this tent and have a really good idea of all of the good and all of the bad about this tent. Stay tuned. Now I've got a list of 16 things here about the Kabari XL that I think are absolutely spot on. However, there are two things that I think could use a little improvement. One of which is a totally first world issue. The second is something that could really just take the Kabari XL to the very next level. Stick around to the very end of this video to see what those two things are. I spent quite a bit of time last night trying to calculate exactly the number of nights I have in this tent, and I'm at that 31 to 32 range, and that was over a 9-month period when I put it on early last year. Now, the first thing on my list of things I want to talk about is the way the Kabari XL looks on top of the truck rack and on the Super Ute in general. It is just a perfect tent for this application. It's a big honkin' tent for a big honkin' truck, so it just makes sense. Outside of the styling being completely on point, I want to talk about the fit and finish. This thing is absolutely impeccable. Every seam is perfect. Every joint is perfect. Every extrusion, everything is just perfect. Every line is straight. I haven't found a single issue with this tent whatsoever. Now up here on top the Kabari are two extruded aluminum crossbars, which I've just recently utilized with this Renogy solar panel up here in my Renogy house battery system that I recently installed. I'll put that video in the description below so you guys can check that out. But these crossbars have really come in handy to be able to mount this big, huge 200-watt solar panel up here. And the tent, opening it up, doesn't even know it's there. The shocks are so strong. This thing has really come in handy. I have no idea where I would have put this if these crossbars weren't on this tent. Also, along the full perimeter of the Kabari is more extrusion for mounting accessories such as awnings, privies, and kind of whatever else you want to put up there. Now, these mount points would really come in handy if you had a 4Runner or a GX or something to where you didn't necessarily want to have a large rack on it. You could actually put this tent on crossbars and then add everything to that. Just a great solution. Living in Arizona, something that I really didn't have to worry about a whole lot, but I have to worry about now is moisture intrusion into rooftop tents, because especially here in Montana, where even today where the sun's out, it's still sprinkling on me. It rains quite a bit, and I have driven through some massive rainstorms with this, and I've also camped out in some massive rainstorms with this tent. And I've got to be honest, this thing is one of the tightest rooftop tents that I've ever heard of. I know the A-frames kind of get a bad rap, only having that gasket to protect it from water intrusion while driving, but this thing has been absolute bomber. Not a problem whatsoever. Now to open up the Kabari XL, there's 4 latches, not just 2. You have 2 additional latches here in the front because the tent doesn't just angle up, it articulates up, so you get extra room here in the footbox, which is one of those great things about this tent, is a lot of space. Now the latches themselves are really easy to use. It's a 2-motion function. It's a pull down and then a lift up, and it's just very, very simple to unlatch as well as latch. Setting up the Kabari is super easy. It's just a matter of lifting it up, pulling the poles out. You have 6 poles for the whole thing, inserting the poles in their receptacles, and then you are all set up. Very, very simple. And let's time it to see how long it takes. And a minute 15 to get this thing all the way set up with all the poles. That's pretty quick and easy. 23-0 added a bag with the ladder, and it's just really thoughtful to not allow the water and dirt from the ladder from stepping on it, walking up here, to that way have to store it in the tent and get your mattress dirty. It's just a nice way to keep everything really clean. The ladder itself is really nice. It's got really good action, both extending and retracting, and it's black and not silver, which honestly just makes pictures that much better. Not having that weird silver ladder. The black just really blends better for photographs, which for me is really important. Now hooking the ladder onto the tent itself is really easy. The hooks of the ladder go onto the bars of the tent, unstrap it, and then just let it kind of fall into place. That's all you have to do. If you've seen any of my other Super Ute review videos, or you've seen the Super Ute at the Overland Expos, you would have noticed that I typically set the ladder up on the tailgate and not all the way to the ground. And the reason for that is the Super Ute is so large, the ladder barely fits in most cases. Right now, with it fully extended, it reaches the ground at the proper angle. Typically, with any kind of fall away on the ground, it does not reach. So I typically just set it up on the tailgate just for ease of use. Now, this ladder is plenty long for 99% of the applications out there, and it's just very, very smooth. You could hear it when it comes out, all the air escaping in the proper ways. This thing is a really quality ladder. I really think the vestibule on the Kobari here is at a perfect height. It's easy enough for you to reach to put the poles into. You're not extending out to a really large vestibule, but it's perfect enough to not get wet when you're putting your shoes on and getting in and out of the tent. Also, when you're getting in and out of the tent, you don't actually rub your head on this, which is really great, so you're not getting that condensation on you. Really great design. The Kobari also comes with a single shoe bag, which is waterproof. It's got this big vinyl top to it. The inside is lined with vinyl again. It's got mesh in the bottom to let the water escape out when your shoes are drying overnight. Got 4 pockets on the front here, and it slides right in and out of the extrusion. Very easy to put in. Up here inside the tent, there are 3 main things that are my most favorite parts of this tent, and the first one being the mattress. This mattress is insanely comfortable. It is one of the most comfortable straight foam mattresses I've slept on. There's no air in this, it's just foam. And I don't know what 230 did to make this so comfortable, but it is outstanding. I'm a side sleeper, and in most mattresses, my hips dig in all the way to the condensation mat, but this one is absolutely perfect. The second is going to be the number of windows and just the views you get with said windows. There's 5, technically with the door, windows in this tent, and I mean, there's just panoramic views for the most part. Even at the foot of the tent where it cantilevers up, there's still a window there, so it's just tons of views as well as great ventilation. There's also a condensation vent up at the top, so you can open the foot and the very top here, and it allows air to flow through. It's just a really great design. And conversely, when you want it dark, it gets dark. There's 16 hours of sunlight in Montana in the summertime, and obviously I can't wait till it gets dark to go to sleep. So thanks to that LST technology fabric, the light suppression technology fabric, it gets mega dark in here with a simple closing up of the very last window before the camera adjusts. You can see how dark it gets. It is nearly pitch black in here. It's absolutely perfect. Inside the Kobari are these really nice light strips you can see here. They're on both sides of the tent so that each person kind of has their own individual light with their own individual controller, and they're a single button controller, very simple to use. You push 1 button for off, 1 button for amber, 1 button for white. So now we're at amber, off, white light, amber light. And the amber is a really good hue, kind of a romantic feel when everything is turned down real low. Let me turn this camera light off and show you what I mean. It's a nice amber glow in here, which is great for bugs and just kind of better for that nighttime preparation. Along with being bicolor with the white and the amber, you can also toggle between low and high setting of each color. By holding that button, it will gradually go from low to high and then high to low. My third favorite feature about the interior of the Kobari is going to be the usable inside space. There's a ton of it. The biggest complaint with A-frame tents is just not a lot of space inside. It's more like a backpacking tent because it's really narrow and short and you don't have a lot of foot room. However, in this tent, there's a lot of space. My wife and I have spent many a night side by side in this tent and had plenty of room to move around and bring in bags and just have a usable nice time up here and not necessarily be confined like you're in a backpacking tent. Also, with the way the front cantilever is up, you get a lot of foot room, so you can push everything down towards that foot well, and you have just a lot of room at your head. Now granted, this is a large tent, a big footprint on top of this truck, but equates to a lot of usable space, which I can definitely appreciate. Up here in the roof of the tent in the A-frame, there's a really nice big organizational pocket. It holds your phone, wallet, all those knickknacks you don't want to lose when you empty your pockets out, as well as in the middle here, a big clear pocket, which right now is obviously holding my iPad. It can hold any larger tablet. I think this is the 13-inch, and it's pretty tight in here. You could probably get a 14-inch, and that's probably about it. I've had my phone in here and watched different shows and done research on my phone with this thing. It's just a really nice feature, especially for date night. Come in here, set this up, and you can watch a movie in the tent. I want to take a second to speak to the fit and finish of the inside of the tent here. This tent is absolutely 100% perfectly spot on. They absolutely nailed it. The top wall here has this really nice finish to it that obviously has some kind of insulation property because I've never really gotten that cold in this tent. The zippers have all been flawless. They always work great. I've gotten really dusty and they've never gotten stuck. This thing is just weather tight All the seams are sealed up really nicely. The way everything was just put together with this tent, it's absolutely flawless. There's also a provision on the exterior of the tent right here that will allow you to run power to the inside of the tent. It's an Anderson plug that runs into a cigarette outlet and a USB outlet inside the tent. I've actually never used this function just because I haven't adapted a cable to get to the Anderson. However, it can easily be done and it's just a great option. One last cool thing that doesn't get mentioned a whole lot is the fact that you can actually store your sleep gear inside of your tent when it's closed. I've been able to get a 20-degree bag and 2 of the smaller camp pillows in there, no problem at all, and then a couple, maybe one night's worth of clothes in there as well. So there's a lot of room on the inside when this thing's all closed up. To put the ladder away from a fully extended, all you do is there's 2 red tabs here in the bottom and just start lifting and then grab the whole ladder and it will just collapse all the way to the top and pull it off the hooks. Let's see how long it takes me to get this thing completely put away with all the accessories, minus the boot bag because it's soaked from my boots, so I'm not gonna put it in here. I'm gonna let it dry out and then I'll put it in later. All right, that's it. I'll put the time right here, but that was pretty quick. I can honestly say that the Kabari XL from 23ZERO is one of my most favorite tents that I have ever owned. It is just, it checks all the boxes. It's very spacious, it's quick to set up, and it's mega comfortable. What more could you possibly ask from rooftop tent? And then all the extras just make it above and beyond perfect. Now there are 2 complaints that I have, and one of them is mega first world, and it's definitely a me thing, and that is those front latches. And I don't know why I constantly forget to close them when I'm putting the tent away. I've driven away, gotten a few miles down the road, and realized I forgot to close those front latches. I had to get out, close them up. I wish there was a way for them to automatically close. I know that's super first world and it's just a me thing. I should just be better at remembering those kinds of things. But when I'm in a hurry, trying to get back on the road and trying to clean up things, sometimes I forget. And the last thing is the one thing that I think 23ZERO could do to take this rooftop tent to the very next level, and that would be diesel heater ports. I think dual ports on both sides of the tent, I know that they're probably not the easiest to add, but I think it would just make a big difference in the way that this tent is able to be used, especially here in the great Northwest, up in the mountains in the snow in the wintertime. Diesel heaters are super necessary. I've got a workaround. I just kind of put it in the corner of the tent and close up the best I can. However, having those designated ports would just make it perfect. All right, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.